2.7 million visitors walk through Bryce Canyon National Park every year. Most leave with photos. Some leave in body bags. The pattern repeats. Ignored warnings. Fatal hubris. Preventable deaths. Common sense is simple. Rules that keep people safe. Warnings that should be obvious. But in Bryce Canyon, where hoodoos rise like red fingers clawing at the sky, people make decisions that end everything. Today, we are examining 5 documented cases where one choice changed everything. Real moments, real consequences, real bodies carried down mountains in the dark. No speculation, no dramatization, just the clinical facts of what happens when you ignore the railing. June 7th, 2024. The annual Astronomy Festival at Bryce Canyon. Tom Lorig, 78 years old, a park ranger on duty, walked through the darkness between telescope stations. Tom was not a visitor. He was staff. A ranger who knew every trail, every overlook, every hazard in the park. He had spent years helping others stay safe. That night, the sky was clear. Perfect conditions for stargazing. Thousands of visitors gathered to watch the Milky Way stretch across the Utah desert. Tom moved between groups, answering questions, ensuring everyone stayed behind barriers. Around 10:30 in the evening, he walked along a familiar path. No flashlight was needed. He had walked this route hundreds of times. Then he tripped. His foot caught something. A rock, uneven ground. The exact cause does not matter. What matters is the fall. Tom's head struck a rock. The impact was immediate, catastrophic. The kind of blunt force trauma that shuts down brain function instantly. Other rangers found him minutes later. They called for emergency medical response. Paramedics arrived within 20 minutes, but the damage was irreversible. Massive head trauma, basilar skull fracture, intracranial hemorrhaging. That is the clinical language for a death that happened in seconds. Tom Lorig was pronounced dead at the scene. His death shocked the National Park Service. Rangers are trained professionals. They know the terrain. They follow protocols. They are supposed to be the ones who prevent tragedies, not become them. But Bryce Canyon does not care about experience. It does not care about training. One misstep in the dark, one rock in the wrong place, and decades of knowledge mean nothing. Tom's death led to improved lighting protocols during evening events. More rangers were assigned to patrol dark areas. Uneven terrain near public gathering spots was better marked. But the lesson remained simple. Even experts fall. Even professionals die. Even in places they know by heart. Tom died doing his job. Our next victim died climbing a hoodoo for a photo. The Hoodoo Climber, October 11th, 2003. Queen's Garden Trail. A 49-year-old man from Michigan stood looking at the towering hoodoos rising around him. The trail was clearly marked. Railings separated visitors from dangerous edges. Warning signs were posted every 100 feet. The signs instructed visitors to stay on designated trails and to not climb formations. This was a direct warning he ignored. He ignored all of it. Witnesses watched him leave the trail. He walked toward a narrow fin of rock, a fragile formation carved by wind and water over millions of years, the kind of structure that crumbles under human weight. Someone shouted, "Hey, you cannot go there!" He waved them off and kept walking. He reached the base of a hoodoo and started climbing. His hands gripped the rough sandstone. His feet found small ledges. He climbed maybe 15 feet, then 20 feet. The rock beneath his fingers felt solid, until it wasn't. A handhold broke away. His body weight shifted. His feet slipped on loose gravel. He fell backward. The fall lasted maybe 2 seconds. He dropped 170 feet down the canyon wall. His body struck multiple rock formations during the descent. Each impact caused catastrophic trauma. Witnesses screamed. Rangers were notified immediately. The rescue team assembled quickly. Reaching the location required technical climbing gear and careful navigation through unstable terrain. When they reached him, he was already gone. Multiple fractures, severe head trauma, and internal injuries consistent with high-velocity impact against rock. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Park officials later confirmed he had left the designated trail, climbed onto a restricted formation, and fallen from a height that made survival impossible. His name was never released. His family requested privacy, but his death became part of Bryce Canyon's grim statistics. Another preventable fatality. Another person who thought the rules did not apply to them. The hoodoos he climbed are still there, still fragile, still dangerous, still marked with signs that say, "Do not climb." He climbed for a photo. Our next victim fell reaching for a flower. The flash flood hiker, Jeanne Roblez Howell, 2023. August 25th, 2023. Fairyland Loop Trail. Jeanne Roblez Howell, 64 years old, a math teacher from Sedona, Arizona, set out alone on an 8-mile route circling Bryce Canyon's vivid red hoodoos. For years, she had taught her students that every problem has a solution. In retirement, Jeanne found her solution in hiking, meditation through movement. A way to listen to the wind, watch the clouds, feel alive. She was careful. She always shared her location before starting. She carried proper gear and followed safety protocols. Early afternoon weather was gentle. Sunlight painted the rocks like an oil painting. At 2:02 p.m., Jeanne sent her final photo to her daughter. The sky was turning gray, but she was still smiling. Then the sky changed. A sudden storm rolled in from the north. Rain poured down. Thunder cracked across the valley. Dry stream beds became roaring brown currents within minutes. On the trail, Jeanne likely heard the rushing water echoing through the canyon, the warning sound of a flash flood. She tried climbing to higher ground, but the shifting earth and rising water overtook her. In Bryce Canyon, being 1 minute late means the entire landscape changes beneath your feet. By 6 p.m., her family stopped receiving signals from her locator. Her daughter called repeatedly and only heard that the phone was out of service. When night fell, they contacted rangers. More than 20 rescue personnel split up in the cold rain and lightning. Headlamps flickered between canyon walls. Radio calls echoed. No sign. Continue toward Campbell Canyon. At 1:30 a.m., they found Jeanne in Campbell Canyon, nearly 1 mile from the trail. Her backpack was torn. Her satellite phone had shut down. Her hiking hat lay beside her. A ranger later said she had done everything right. She had the gear, shared her location, and followed safety rules. But nature did not give anyone a second chance that day. The coroner's report documented drowning and severe blunt force trauma from flood debris, broken ribs, a collapsed lung, and head injuries consistent with high-velocity water impact against rock surfaces. Days later, Jeanne's daughter posted the final photo her mother sent. Under the fading sunset, Jeanne smiled, peaceful, unaware that in just minutes the sky would sweep her away. Her death shook the hiking community across the country. She met every requirement for safety, but flash floods are unpredictable, fast, powerful, and silent in how quickly they take everything. Jeanne had all the gear. Our next victim had all the confidence. September 16th, 2003, on the Navajo Loop Trail. A 59-year-old man from the United Kingdom was hiking one of Bryce Canyon's most popular routes. His name was withheld at his family's request. Park records identify him only as GD. The Navajo Loop is considered moderate difficulty. Well-maintained switchbacks and clear trail markers guide hikers. Thousands complete it safely every year. The path descends 521 feet through narrow canyon walls before looping back to the rim. GD was experienced. He had hiked throughout Europe, he understood mountain terrain, and he knew how to read trails. That morning, conditions were perfect. Clear sky, mild temperature, a light breeze. He started the descent around 9 a.m. Witnesses later reported seeing him moving confidently, with no signs of distress and no indication anything was wrong. Then, somewhere along the trail, he stepped off the designated path. Maybe he wanted a better view. Maybe he needed to adjust his pack. Maybe he simply misjudged the edge. He dropped down a 20-foot slope. The angle was steep, but not vertical. Under different circumstances, it might have been survivable. But at the bottom of that slope was a 17-foot vertical drop. GD went over the edge. His body fell 17 feet straight down. His head struck rock at the bottom. The impact was immediate and catastrophic. Other hikers heard the fall. They rushed to the edge and saw him lying motionless below. Someone ran for help. Rangers arrived within 30 minutes. They rappelled down to reach him and checked for vital signs. They found none. Massive head injury, basilar skull fracture, intracranial hemorrhaging, the kind of trauma that kills instantly. GD was pronounced dead at the scene. The rescue team spent hours extracting his body from the canyon, using technical rope work and careful navigation through narrow passages. It was a physically demanding operation to move a body up vertical rock faces. Park officials later confirmed he had left the designated trail, fallen down a slope, and struck his head on the final drop. His death added to Bryce Canyon's growing list of preventable fatalities. Another experienced hiker, another moment of inattention, another body carried out in the dark. The Navajo Loop remains open, still popular and still clearly marked, and it is dangerous for anyone who steps off the path. He fell, reaching for something. Our final victims climbed over a railing for the view. The Inspiration Point couple, Matthew Nannen and Bailee Crane, 2025. Night of April 28th, 2025, or early April 29th, 2025, at Inspiration Point. Matthew Nannen, 45, and Bailee Crane, 58, were a couple from Florida who had sold their belongings, rented a U-Haul, and started a road trip across the American West with their 12-year-old cat, Mirage. They decided to walk around Inspiration Point late at night. The fatal decision was climbing over the safety railing for a more unique angle. Challenging weather, light snowfall, wet ground, slippery footing. Conditions where a single step turns dangerous. Maybe Matthew was setting up a long exposure photo while Bailee held a flashlight. Or they simply sat near the edge talking about the journey ahead. They were unaware the thin layer of snow beneath them was melting. Maybe a small crack or loose rock shifting. The wind picked up. Darkness swallowed two people who had been smiling moments earlier. The next morning, a visitor watching sunrise saw two unmoving figures at the cliff bottom. Rangers were called. The rescue operation was careful and slow. Steep, rugged terrain required hours to reach the scene. They had fallen approximately 380 feet. Both suffered massive blunt force trauma, multiple fractures, and severe internal injuries. Both were pronounced dead at the scene. Then came the heartbreaking discovery. Mirage the cat was still alive. It was found inside a torn, soft carrier near the cliff edge, covered in mud, cold, but breathing. One ranger quietly said that it survived where no one else could. Their deaths shocked the nation. Why climb railings so late at night for a better photo to hold on to a moment together forever? The answer does not matter. Simple compliance with railings would have saved them. Bryce Canyon is stunning, but a single careless moment changes everything, forever. The pattern is clear. Ignored warnings and fatal hubris equal preventable death. Bryce Canyon offers beauty, and it demands caution. Subscribe for more hidden patterns.